In the run-up to the 2016 general election, Andrew Holness promised that under his leadership, a JLP administration would introduce and make a part of the furniture job descriptions for parliamentarians. Well, 2 election cycles later, and the reality is closer to being in place. Job descriptions, that green paper which he originally brought to the Parliament in 2023, has come back in the form of a report for discussion this week in the Parliament. And that's why we're talking about that document again. What is in it, and is it fit for purpose as we seek to hold our parliamentarians to account and to a high standard of representation and leadership? That's the topic for discussion on Lead Story on this Thursday. Job description for yours and for my MP. Welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV. My name is George Davis. I'm blazerless, but the brain sometimes is overloaded and you forget the simple things. It's funny that we're talking about job descriptions on this day, because just this week I had a call from a former senior executive in media. We were having a discussion, and he said, well, one of the things that he was disappointed that the Holness administration has not put in place. He says the soft issues for him are important, and he says, yes, the crime is going down and the economy is where it is, and other things are improving. But he said, George, it's the soft issues and something like the job descriptions. Holness promised it, Holness hasn't delivered it yet, and he says he feels disappointed that things like those aren't being taken care of, they're not being treated seriously. And it was the day after Parliament convened, and Kerensia Morrison was the one who handled that motion of the green paper for job descriptions for parliamentarians. What did she tell the House of Representatives on Tuesday?
One of the concerns raised in the public space is that there are MPs who are absent from the sitting of the House for weeks or months while collecting full salary from Parliament. And it raises criticism, when members whose absence, barring illness, is perpetual and chronic, signing maybe once every 3 months, while appearing hale and hearty in public, going about regular business, politicking in the sun, while they can't attend Parliament. It is barefaced. This is a move in the right direction, where respect for the people who elected us will be made demonstrable by our attendance in Parliament. We can't be absent from Parliament, but we are out there politicking, risking a sunstroke. One of the concerns raised...
Right, so Kerensia Morris there, the Member of Parliament for North East St. Catherine, handling that motion on behalf of the government. Taking a quick break. When we come back, 2 short perspectives from those who spoke in the House, and then we get the informed perspective of a current and a former parliamentarian.
In a world where innovation meets tradition, agriculture is evolving like never before. from the latest sustainable farming technologies to age-old practices passed down through generation. Agriculture is
precious to me.
I love the animals. I don't mind getting my hands dirty. I love working.
Join us right here on CVM TV every Sunday during news at 7 as we explore the people, the science, and the breakthroughs that are shaping the way we grow, eat, and live. You don't want to miss it. This is Farming Forward.
Get ready for a powerful night of worship. Jesus All the Way, a fundraising worship encounter presented by the Jamaica Seventh-day Baptist Conference of Churches on Sunday, June 29, Randy Williams Entertainment Center, featuring Kevin Downswell, Rhoda Isabella, Alicia Taylor, Kevin Heath, Nadine Blair, and Perpetual Sounds of Praise. Gates open at 4 p.m. Showtime 6 p.m. Tickets available at SpurOpen.com. Jesus All the Way, a worship encounter with a purpose. Sunday, June 29, Randy Williams Entertainment Center, powered by Stuart Auto, Love FM, Mellow FM, Gospel JA, and CVM TV.
Although it took some time for the matter to come before the Parliament, the work had commenced in accordance with the initial timeline given by the Prime Minister. And today, we have for adoption in this Honourable House the job descriptions for members of Parliament, setting out strategic objectives, job purpose, key deliverables and outputs, key areas of responsibility, performance standards, competence, attributes, and it's a non-exhaustive list. Minimum required qualifications, because of course this is a democracy. And we approach the matter from what disqualifies you in order to be true to the principles of democracy. And we include some of the working conditions that those who put themselves forward to be elected as members of Parliament will have to endure. Madam Speaker, let all Jamaicans understand that this is a major, major progress. There has been no disagreement across the aisles of the importance of having this in place. And there has been no disagreement in the public sphere.
Malahoo for Anthony Hilton, Member of Parliament for Western St. Andrew.
The effort of the committee members go much further than what we're being invited as the focal point of this very important document, because coming to Parliament is important. Well, you cannot sign it the most, to my mind, the most important thing is that, the most important thing is that you come here and you make a meaningful contribution. You can't come here and say nothing. You cannot come here and say nothing, and when you do say something, it doesn't move the needle at all whatsoever. You have members who are here sitting, and I wouldn't recognize their voice if they speak anywhere else. I simply would not recognize their voice. Now that, I'm saying, it is not simply presence. Presence is important, but let me say this. Whether someone has a just cause or reason or an excuse not to be in Parliament cannot be determined by us as parliamentarians. Sometimes it's between them and their doctor. You cannot make those assertions. You are not charged medically, and we're not entitled to hear what you have to say on that matter. What I am saying is that I hope that the document goes into much greater detail and ask and hold us accountable for meaningful, not only being present and marked present or absent, but that we come and we make meaningful contribution to the debate that legislators are asked to do so often, and that is our primary role, which is to participate in effective lawmaking.
Anthony Hilton. Well, I'm being joined this evening by Dwight Sibley's. He's the Member of Parliament for Northern Clarendon. He beat my good friend Horace Daly in 2020. This is his first term, Dwight Sibley's. And to Maxine Henry Wilson also joins the fray. She was first a parliamentarian in 1992, appointed to the Senate. She entered the House of Representatives in 2002, and by 2011 she said, you know what, yeah, I'm done serving. And she left the political fray at that time, served across several ministries, Ministry of Information and Education, and of course she was PNP General Secretary. So eminently placed, both of them, to have this discussion. Good evening, Dwight. I'm not hearing you. You're muted, I think.
Mute.
Yeah, I'm hearing you now. Hearing you now. Hearing you now. Hearing you now. Lady Maxine, good evening.
Hello, good evening. How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine.
Good evening.
Good evening, Dwight. I'm hearing you
George,
now.
and to your listeners, and good evening, Maxine.
Hi, good evening, Mr. Sibley's. How are you?
I am well.
I'm not hearing you very well, you know. I'm not sure.
You're not hearing me, or you're not hearing Dwight very well?
Okay, all right.
Good. All right. Here's the thing now. Having looked at what the Parliament is contemplating now as a job description draft, Maxine Henry Wilson, this document, of course, not much different from that which the Prime Minister took to the House in 2023. Would you say it's fit for purpose or needs more work?
Well, I would not make perfection with the enemy of the good. Mm-hmm. I think we need to start, okay? I would have some critique of it, but because I think it sets out what you are to do, and then we need to have a way of saying how you are to do what you are to do. I agree that attendance at Parliament is an obligation. The standing orders say what happens if you don't come to Parliament. The question is, how do we structure the parliamentary agenda to give members a chance to intervene? That's one, because most of the things that come are under a portfolio responsibility. And the portfolio minister is going to and should take the lead on it. And then some of the things are fairly technical. In our parliamentary jurisdiction, we don't have advisors and we don't have persons who can help us to develop some of these fairly technical things.
Yes.
Some of them probably can be translated to what happens on the ground, but many of them are a little bit obtruse. You know, they're abstract for people. So we say what we are to do. How are we to do it? How do you structure the standing orders so that people can bring a private member's motion? Many times it gets bounced off because there's so much parliamentary business to do. And then there's also participating in committees. We don't seem to give that any credit. I mean, it's not as public, but members are members of committees that sometimes they attend all during the week. So I think the discussion has to be a little bit more comprehensive than just saying, are you in Parliament?
I agree with you on that. I actually do. I must tell you. Dwight Sibley's, Maxine Henry Wilson says, look, we must not let that which is perfect be the enemy of that which can be good. So are you looking at the green paper and saying, well, we can work with this, we can move from here, this looks good for the stage of the conversation that we're at? Or are you saying this needs to go back to the drawing board? What's your position?
Well, George, I concur with Maxine on the point that she raised. And reading through the green paper, I think it's a good start. And it can be improved over time. But as it is now, it is a document that the public can hold parliamentarians accountable. But we have to bear in mind, though, George, that in no jurisdiction, my research has shown me that no jurisdiction right across the world has a job description. So this is marked improvement, is stellar for Jamaica. And we should continue to push to have this job description. Notwithstanding, it is not perfect.
Yes.
But it is a great starting point.
Yeah, there are two significant points I want to raise, but I want to do that after the break when I have uninterrupted time. This is Lead Story. Maxine Henry Wilson, Dwight Sibley's my guests this evening. What is happening in there?
The internationally acclaimed On Stage with Winford Williams.
At a new time, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on CVM TV.
So much more than entertainment.
Hey everybody, I'm Yendi, and this is Odyssey with Yendi. In this space, we connect with some of your favorite people as they share their journeys. Here we have some unfiltered conversations as we deep dive into their inspirations, motivations, and experiences to inspire our own life journey.
Key deliverables in the draft job description for parliamentarians: regular attendance, active participation, regular attendance at and active participation in committees, participation in debates on bills, voting on bills motions, timely preparation and submission of project documents, that CDF is very important, timely submission of constituency reports in regards to CDF projects, multi-year constituency development plans of action must be prepared, CDF consultations providing support and documentation to on CDF matters again, and leadership and guidance to constituents on matters of which central government has responsibility. I have Dwight Sibley's and Maxine Henry Wilson with me. Mrs. Henry Wilson, here's the thing. I looked at the part that speaks to minimum required qualification, and I wanted to explain what is written here. It says, qualified according to the laws and the Constitution of Jamaica to be elected to the House of Representatives and competently discharge the functions of the office. What is that saying to an ordinary Jamaican who looks at it and is wondering, okay, what does my MP have to qualify them to sit in the House?
First and foremost, he mustn't be a criminal. That's what it talks about, the responsibility in terms of character, and I think it actually spells out some of it in the paper, about, decency, and some of them not vague, but I think what we're looking at is persons who can be considered to some extent model citizens. The question has always been, what is the competence?
Yes.
You may have persons who are very erudite, very well qualified, but they're not good representatives. Remember, representation is not just in Parliament.
Yes.
It also speaks to the question of communicating with your constituents. And there are persons who may not be able to get up and off the bat make a contribution to the debate, but they are excellent representatives. There are persons who go beyond. So this is why I'm always a little wondering, what is it that we see as the primary responsibility of the Member of Parliament? And that we don't look so much at the competence that we define, be clearly defined in terms of us being a democratic country.
Yes.
Right? As distinct from just academic qualifications.
Yes.
So the question of the character of the person, the attributes, as outlined here in the paper, are important.
Yes.
I think they may take primacy. The question of their intellectual capacity is something we have to be careful about how we measure and weigh.
Yes.
So that would be my kind of response.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, though. I've seen several MPs operate at close quarters, and one of the things I know, well, you know this very well, the MP as benefactor. This thing, this draft, this report is silent on that. But to me, that's a huge part of what an MP is expected by the people who put him or her there to do. How do you codify that? How do you roll that into a job description? What standard do you set for that?
And that has been up, you know, I mean, if there's anything that kind of deterred me in my representation was the demands that people made on you in terms of, and it says here, and I wondered about it, assistance to individuals through CDF. There's never an end to demands in terms of what individuals are asking. And some of them are absolutely impossible for a member of parliament to deliver. But often we hear people say, but I asked the MP for this, and him not give me. Some of it is that you just can't. You don't have the resources to give the person. So how do you weigh and measure that? Is it that you should be more institutionally driven, so that you're looking at your schools, you're looking at your clinics, you're looking at persons who need benefits in terms of perhaps how do you represent them to an institution, like, you know, the PASS program, the National Health Fund. I would see those as being an integral part of the work of a member of parliament, because and people need support and that kind of help, school fees, school books for the school. So I really think we need to be clear about what we mean by individual benefits.
Yes, Dwight Sibley, I put the same thing to you, because you I'm sure have felt the pinch, more than the pinch, the squeeze. The MP as benefactor, you have to fund, you have to be a source of funds for dead yard, birthday party, back to school, graduation, anniversary, people going to look at visa, people going to make a first trip overseas. Dwight Sibley, how does the MP as benefactor get itself rolled into what's a codified job description?
Well, I want to start at the competencies. You see, a member of parliament, a representative, have to have that competent to understand where your constituents can get help. It's not all the time that the CDF is going to be of assistance. Initially, prior to the CDF, and if one look at how the Westminster model or most democracy runs, it is the agencies of government that ought to be providing for most of what is being asked by your constituent. And so for me, when the challenge came as a new MP, I quickly learned where is it that I can recommend the constituent to. The Ministry of Labor and Social Security is a vast ministry that the Social Security side, if your house burned down, there is help.
Yes.
The Ministry of Health, through its compassionate grants, if there's need for a constituent who can't afford a surgery that is not done in the public hospital,
yes,
there is help. So the competence is that as a representative, you need to have a vast knowledge. You need to be able to grasp quickly.
Yes, and know where to direct people to.
Be able to interact and to be honest with the constituent.
Yes.
And that's what I do in my constituency.
Yes.
Applying another.
Yes. Maxine, sorry, Dwight, just one more point.
You explain to them,
yes,
how is it that they can get help, and where you can help.
Yes.
Help.
Yes. Maxine Henry Wilson, another one is this. When I was a parliamentary reporter, I used to get there from like 1 o'clock. And there's a certain MP who's still in the House who would get there, I'd go there and I'd see him at 1 p.m. every week. That man said nothing, He would just knock the bench when the time came. Said nothing. I never knew what the man's voice sounded like until recently. And I'm saying, what then is the value of an MP for being on time, well, for being very early, for being ever present, yet saying nothing, contributing to nothing, yet you retreat to the constituency and say, I am your chief advocate, the man who is lobbying for you in the House of Parliament. And I'm suspecting that this job description is trying to cure the whatever ills people like that gentleman I spoke of.
So I mean, he would make probably a constituency in the budget, a constituency. I don't know. That's one forum that you can go to and have your voice heard about things. But in the normal course of the parliament, as a parliamentary reporter, where would a member of parliament be able to represent his or her people?
Excellent, and
apart
that
from
is why.
Going across the
And that is why, Maxine.
Yeah, but and saying, I sent you a letter.
And that is why.
In the structure.
Yes, and that is why I've said a long time. I envy what happens every Wednesday, PMQs in the UK, in the House of Commons. I'm a huge fan of that. I've been watching that weekly for years now. And every MP gets a chance, if they catch the eye of the speaker, to be able to put your question. Prime Minister, what is happening to the health centre in my constituency? It's been locked down. Children in the constituency can't get dental care there. They have to be going next. These are the bread and butter issues that constituents want to see championed by their representatives. But you are correct. The structure of the parliament is the problem on that score, not necessarily the job descriptions.
But
yeah, right.
George, I just want to come in here.
Yeah, quickly, because we're out of time.